Hi to my patrons and the people that waited a year. I'm going to get the thumbnail now. I got to get that perfect Mickey whistle there. Got it. Everything looks good. We're ready to do this. This is the episode where I am playing the film Steamboat Willie in its entirety, so I just needed to make sure that it looks somewhat okay on the screen. This could be a real disaster, folks. We'll see how this goes. I know there's a lot of black at the beginning, so I want to make sure that we're not waiting in silence for too long. Okay. I'm so excited to bring this one to you. A lot going on in this episode. Also, how obvious is it that I just woke up? Sorry about the grogginess, but we're gonna get this show on the road. This is gonna be an interesting one to be sure. Oh, I have to script my opening line for legal purposes. This is so much fun. Ready? The following podcast episode was not produced, endorsed, licensed, or approved by the Walt Disney Company. Holy homoeroticism, Batman! And then this is where the theme song goes. You're listening to Fix My Carcast, hosted by Bear Claw Billy, and this is episode 104. Comedian and musician Keith Hebert will last forever less one day. But first, housekeeping. This is the show where you pick what I say and how I say it. Pick a topic or prompt by donating to the GoFundMe, and vote on the gimmick by joining my Patreon for just $1 a month. Join at the $5 or higher level and also get bonus episodes and behind-the-scenes footage. Links are in the description. Also down there, merch. Get yourself some merch. I don't want to be all crass and make the merch more important than the content of the thing. What am I, some guy named Walt? Anyway, we have 3 new donors this week. That's right. Thank you, Vivian, for $40. Thank you, Lauren, for $50. And thank you, Margot, for $30. The total raised for paying off my car repair debt is now $1,691. Or if you want to think of it this way, an 11 with a 69 in the middle. Also, when we get to $2,000, we unlock an automatic show gimmick, which is I will watch all the Fast and Furious movies back to back and then record my podcast at the end. Fun fact, did you know that this whole podcast disappears when we hit $10,000? But it could last for 14 years, or 28 years, or 75 years, or 95 years. Hey, have you noticed we have a new theme song this week? Because Lauren donated $50, she got to change one thing about it. So she asked me to replace the prayer to Cathalak with something about Mrs. Sponge burying a piece of Dracula in her neighbor's backyard. Do you like it? No? Well, if you make a donation of $50 or more, in addition to picking an episode topic, you get to change one thing about the theme song forever. Unless somebody else changes it back. Want me to toss in a few bars of Mac the Knife, When You're Smiling, or I Wanna Be Loved by You? I'll do it. $50. They're all public domain as of today. No new patrons this week. Bummer. Now it's time for a topic suggestion. I'll suggest topics I think I could easily talk about for a whole episode, though admittedly I think the show is more fun when it's something I'm completely clueless about. So, something I could talk about is finding out I have to move 5 days before Christmas. Yeah, that really happened, and it's probably gonna affect the show. Want to know more? Donate today. Please donate today. Checking in on the best city in the world, based on which city listened to the last episode the most, and we've got us another singles night tie. Ties are broken by whichever city listened to the most episodes, and our big winner is New York, New York! Congratulations, New York, New York. Let it be known that your Tinkerbell Bridge, Goofy's Garden, and Maleficent Mall are the best in the world for 7 days. Yeah, I got my eye on you, Walt. Last episode, I looked back on Fix My Carcast in the year 2023 while happy. You can see video of the entire episode, including my fancy outfit, and a little extra surprise where I show off a real neat Christmas present I received, over on Patreon. Also, head over to Patreon for a bonus episode where I peace out for the holidays, but not before sharing a very festive cover song that you might have heard in the Jingle Season 2 episode. Hope you like it. Okay, let's talk next week's gimmick poll. These are your choices for next week's episode gimmick. They are pack up my books, pack up my movies, pack up my comics, and our returning gimmick, do a tarot card reading. Are you sensing a theme? Once again, that's number 1, pack up my books. Number 2, pack up my movies. Number 3, pack up my comics. And our returning gimmick, number 4, do a tarot card reading. Remember that any gimmick that gets just a single vote is eligible for a second chance in 6 weeks. Be sure to vote over on Patreon. The poll closes January 4th at noon Eastern America time. All right. Time for today's gimmick, which is play the film Steamboat Willie in its entirety. If you weren't aware, this episode is dropping on January 1st, 2024, the day that the first animated short film featuring Mickey Mouse enters the public domain. That means I can play the whole damn thing on my show. No parody, no fair use, no criticism, no educational purposes, just sharing a classic work of cinema with my audience and rubbing it in Disney's face a little bit. Of course, gimmicks don't start until housekeeping is out of the way in case any of them prevent me from sharing vital information. But now, we are puttering our way into the gimmick zone. From this point on, gimmicks are active and everything is improvised. Now, I was unable to get in touch with Vivian about an episode topic despite my best efforts, as sometimes very nice people put money in the GoFundMe without realizing there's some weird podcast bullshit attached. So, hope to hear from you someday, Vivian, but for now, I'll keep moving down the donor list. So, today's topic comes to us from Lauren for $50, and I've been asked to talk about queer themes in Joel Schumacher's Batman films. Now, before I get to that topic, a subject I know a whole hell of a lot about, I just want to point out that the more money you give, the more enthusiasm I put into your topic. This is a topic I've been researching for decades. In fact, so much so, there is already an episode of Fix My Car Cast about specifically how Batman Forever is the most bisexual Batman movie. I've already hit this topic, but here's what's extra wild. The topic wasn't, hey, can you talk about how queer the Joel Schumacher films were back in the day? It was, discuss something you think is overrated, and that was actually sponsored by Tara. Thank you, Tara. The episode is, I believe, episode number 38, a Frog's reading of the film Batman Forever. Now, again, I was just told, talk about something you think is underrated, and I said it's underrated as a bit of bisexual cinema. Now, what is bisexual cinema? Nobody knows, but if you ask a bisexual, they will talk about Brendan Fraser's The Mummy at you for longer than the running time of Brendan Fraser's The Mummy. Look, movies are just bisexual when a bisexual goes, that's bisexual. If you're not bisexual, that's the only marker that you need to identify if a film is bisexual or not. Anyway, this bisexual thinks that Batman Forever is incredibly bisexual, and I already talked about it for a whole episode. By the way, that previous episode, the gimmick was to do a Kermit the Frog voice. So now I have 2 episodes about queerness in Batman that also features something that would probably piss off the Walt Disney Company. So I'm just loving the mind-blowing coincidences that happen on this show. Anyway, this is not going to be Batman v. Willie. Dawn of copyright? I don't know. I have 2 episodes where both Warner Brothers and Disney are going, hey, be careful there. Anyway, I don't want to forget about the gimmick for this episode, obviously. So I do have Mr. Steamboat himself queued up, ready to go when the time calls for it. And I'm quite looking forward to it. Okay, I'm just making sure we've got volume, we've got all of that. So let's get to the topic. Lauren dropped $50 So I will tell you, almost no topic on this show comes in fully formed. A lot of people are like, "Hey, would this be a good episode? I don't know." And right off the bat, you can make it whatever you want. You paid for it. So Lauren was like, homosexuality in the Batman films, specifically the Schumacher ones, the '90s ones. So I was like, hey, I already talked about Batman Forever. Now, to prep for this, I watched Batman and Robin because I'd only seen it a few times, and then I told myself I don't need to watch Batman Forever because I can quote it in my sleep. It's kind of just below Back to the Future for a movie that I can do the entire script. Batman, you say? Coming for you. I'm counting on it. I probably did that in episode 38 as well. Any excuse to do lines from Batman Forever. My sister and I got in trouble for running around the house saying, "Spank me," just like the Riddler does. So anyway, I did tell Lauren, maybe we'll just lean more into Batman and Robin because I've already talked about Batman Forever. But last night, as I was looking for something to do to relax, and I took a lot of special chocolate, I was like, you know what? I've never watched Batman Forever with a lot of special chocolate. So I did rewatch it for this episode because that's $50 worth of dedication. I did love that when I went to watch it on Max, it did say play again. So I was like, when's the last time I watched this? I don't know. I probably watch it once a year. I hate joke stealing, but like, I think Screen Junkie said it best when they called Batman Forever easily the worst movie I've seen 50 times, or something along those lines. I don't know what the number was, but yeah, I'm not gonna say it's the worst movie I've seen 50 times. Close. There's only a handful of movies I definitively know that I've seen 50 times. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole, though, because Lauren wants to know how queer Batman and Robin is. Now, I'm just going to fully tell you this. If you want to make the case for queer themes being in the film Batman and Robin, you can point at it while it's playing and go, pretty gay, huh? Like, that's it. There you go. It's not a head scratcher, folks. There are some movies where people are like, oh, is this actually a retelling of Vietnam? And you're like, well, let's discuss this. And then it's, hey, is Batman and Robin gay? Oh, yeah. End of discussion. Like, there's no, but if you want notes, I took notes. I have pages of notes. I don't know how long this episode's gonna get because I could talk about this for a while. It's also nice that I don't have like any like vocal gimmick holding me back this time because it was a little hard to be like, all right, so there's this scene where Bruce Wayne is confronted with a choice. I could do. You know what? I'm not gonna do a Mickey voice because there's some the film Steamboat Willie, definitely public domain. The character Mickey Mouse, there's some wibbly wobbly legally wiggly in there. So not gonna fuck with that. Not gonna fuck with that. You win, Mouse. Kinda, sorta. So anyway, Batman and Robin, directed by Joel Schumacher, who is queer. I think somewhere back there my brain was going to mention that like homosexuality in Batman predates Batman being in film. Wait, actually, I don't know. On a technicality, there's a really old black and white serial. But anyway, like, is Batman gay is definitely pre-Adam West. Like, people have been talking about, holy shit, I think Batman and Robin are gay for a long time. There's a book called Seduction of the Innocent that was a real, like, you know, pearl clutcher of a book that was basically like, you parents need to be scared of what your children are reading in their comic books. Look at all this homosexual behavior between Bruce and Dick. So it predates the films. And then, oh gosh, okay, I don't even know where to start. There's so much gay in Batman and Robin. I mean, one thing that people always talk about is Batman and Robin is the first time that the bat suit has... Nipples. Now, Batman Forever has zooms in on, like, Batman's butt and his crotch, but there are no actual nipples on the bat suit. That doesn't happen until Batman Forever, and they zoom right in. They want you to see those nipples. Batman has nipples. Robin has nipples. Batman has Robin every night. I'm not sure who's the top and who's the bottom, but we're going to get into it. Now, in previous episodes, I have given you some of my notes in the interest of keeping the show length down, and then given you all the notes on the bonus episode. I might not do that for this one because, again, I got $50, and I feel like putting that behind a paywall, not cool. But let me just rip through my notes here. And again, your mileage may vary. Like, what even makes a film queer? You know, do you ever see two men kiss in this movie? No, you don't. But, like, subtextually, there's a lot of queer culture in there. There's a lot of coded things. So let's get into it. Batman's logo and Robin's logo spoon each other in the opening credits. I did notice that. Again, we open zooming right up some leather butts. The abs on these suits, they are chiseled. They are Adonis-like. The Batmobile looks like it's powered by a disco ball. That one was a bit of a stretch, but I'm going to count that. Robin's very first bit of dialogue is about attracting chicks with the Batmobile. So yeah, both Batman and Robin do a lot of, like, you know, a lot of overcompensating, like, I love chicks, I'm really into girls, man. We'll get to a specific Batman one in a bit, but yeah, it does open right away with methinks thou doth protest too much. Mr. Freeze's first line, Mr. Freeze is the villain in Batman and Robin, and he makes a lot of ice puns, and it's goddamn delightful. Clearly, like Schumacher was definitely trying to do a throwback to the Adam West series, which I love. Honestly, I've already made so much I love Batman content, and by the way, I'm Team Superman. Like, Batman's not even my favorite character. Honestly, of the Trinity, I don't have two hands, so I can't do the quotation. Of the Trinity, I'm probably Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman. Like, Batman is bottom rung, but because Batman has more vastly different interpretations, everyone still has a favorite Batman. I'm not going to rank the actors here. I'm going to call that a separate topic. But anyway, so Mr. Freeze, making ice puns the whole way, his very first joke, his first line is a jizz joke. He says, "The Iceman cometh," which, in fairness, having not seen that play, I needed someone to explain that was a jizz joke to me back when I first heard of it. I thought it was just the Iceman's here, not the Iceman is micking babies. Okay, there's a lot. Oh, I did say, I gotta be honest, I love riffing movies. I love making jokes during movies. Some of them are not always on topic. I definitely have notes in here that have nothing to do with the queerness, but were just interesting things I observed. This one I'm going to try to work in. I say there's a lot of Iceman jokes for a movie that Val Kilmer isn't in. Val Kilmer plays Batman in Batman Forever. And George Clooney plays him in Batman and Robin. But they make way too many Iceman jokes for it to be like, wait a minute, the last Batman was played by Iceman from Top Gun, a famously heterosexual movie. Another topic I have talked about at length and could keep talking about for the rest of my life. Robin does a flying leap ass first at the camera. This one particularly caught me, because it looks like it makes the stunt harder. He, like, leaps up going forward and then in midair does like a twist and is going ass first at the camera. And I remember thinking, not only is that gay, that's a harder stunt to do. So that feels like someone said, no, gotta come at the camera ass first. We have to do that. Mr. Freeze has fabulous butterfly wings. And this is, again, not a queerness observation, but it hit me that there are two movies where Arnold Schwarzenegger plays a guy with a flying suit, and the movie was primarily made to sell toys. I don't have time to get into it here, but look up Jingle All the Way and Batman and Robin and how the producers were really pushing for, we're literally just making this to sell toys. But Schumacher had other ideas. He's like, okay, if we're selling toys, then I'm selling boys. I'm selling some gayness. All right, what do I got here? Poison Ivy starts out with plant lesbian vibes before her She's All That transformation. But it's more than a She's All That transformation. Poison Ivy is drag as hell. Hey, there's another episode of my show about burlesque. Set it to a pop song and shake your ass. I forget what number it is. I want to say it's in the low to mid 90s. So go look for that. I love burlesque. I love drag, and Poison Ivy is definitely doing drag. Like, her eyeshadow gets bigger with every scene. She is just doing the most delicious sex puns. It's interesting that, like, I just pointed out that Mr. Freeze has a lot of jizz jokes, but a lot of them are also just tame. They're just like, cool it, chill, freeze. But yeah, no, Poison Ivy is like, I did not write down all of her lines, but I would have to write down all of her lines. They're all so good. Like, she just walks up to Batman and she's like, my God, it needs tending. That means her pussy needs some action. Which is straight oopsie doodles, but again, the drag queen vibes make it very, very queer. Okay, what have I got here? Vivica A. Fox puts the moves on Freeze and he's not interested. Now, that is because he has a wifesicle. His wife is dead-ish. She's frozen because she has a disease that's spreading. But it's interesting that before we know that, it definitely just comes across as Mr. Freeze being like, oh, no girls for me, please. All right, so... Robin is pretty auga over Alicia Silverstone right away. That was something I observed. So yeah, like, Robin is definitely coming across as less queer than Batman. Now, of course, bisexuality having been just invented in the 90s, I don't think it was, like, very mainstream yet to be like, can be interested in more than one gender. So at the time it was like, it gives a vibe of like, Batman is definitely gay, but Robin isn't so much. Robin is just horny for all the chicks all the time in this movie, but like in the most unconvincing way that it seems very camp and intentional, as like, oh yeah, girls, humana, ooh, I gotta get me some of that. That's simply my observation. We welcome yours. Barbara has biker lesbian vibes, but more lipstick biker lesbian than butch biker lesbian. She's going out in the leather jacket. The architecture of Gotham City is big, naked, Spartan men, which is also the case in Batman Forever. Great design choice. I know it's a note I have later, so I'm just going to hit it up now. There is a car chase scene all over the surface of one of the big, naked Spartan man statues, and I guess it hadn't hit me in the past how, like, that feels like foreplay with Hot Wheels. Like, it's like, we're gonna travel all over his sinewy limbs. Bruce Wayne has a beard. Julie Madison, a reporter asks if they're getting married, and he's like, and then Julie says, we're recklessly in love. And like, she is so very clearly supposed to be beard energy, versus the last movie with Dr. Chase Meridian. And what a thrilling pursuit you must be. She was more of a fleshed out character, which oh my gosh, I already talked about it so much. There's a reason she's a fleshed out character, because Batman is, I just want to get to Batman Forever. I could talk about it forever. All right, let me get through the Batman and Robin notes, and then maybe we'll do a little palate cleanser with Batman Forever. Stuff I probably already said in a previous episode. Go check it out. Bingo bango, where we at? Oh, everybody mentions the bat nipples, but nobody mentions the gorilla nipples. There's a scene where they, Poison Ivy and her henchfolk, sneak into an event with like big dancing gorillas, and at one point they like zoom in on the gorilla nipple. Like, it's a gorilla suit, it's not a real gorilla, but still, it's like, damn. Ivy literally does a drag routine / burlesque with greased up buff dudes in Tarzan outfits. She walks over them at one point. So good. Drag as hell, drag as hell. I just keep writing that. All the men want to fuck Ivy, but only because of her pheromones. So there's some weird, like, forced, I'm not actually into this. Don't know what sort of kinkiness they're playing with there. Batman and Robin have arguments about teamwork that have some real, what are we vibes. Like, he's talking about, you're my partner, who's in charge in this partnership, and it's like, yeah, they're straight up fighting over who's the top and who's the bottom, but they could both be switches, who knows. I did write here, I think the reason I've always preferred Batman Forever over Batman and Robin is I think it has a more coherent story. I think it explores the themes it's going for a lot better. And the theme of Batman Forever is duality. Now, if you want to, add on that extra queer level, duality about like being attracted to more than one gender, being bisexual or pansexual or omnisexual. But it could also apply to gender. Like, you could definitely do a trans reading of it as well. I have not yet done a trans reading of the film The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson, but I did make a misleading title of an episode that. So that could still be a topic. If somebody wants to sponsor a trans reading of the film The Batman, that can happen. I don't know what I'm going to call it, though. All right, I am losing steam, not unlike that mouse. Oh my gosh, I'm not the marrying kind. There are things about me you wouldn't understand. That kind of continues the metaphor of Batmaning being homoerotic from Forever. I feel like at this point I just have to talk about Batman Forever and the bisexuality contained within it. Basically, Riddler and Two-Face seem to be a gay couple. They present as a gay couple. I have notes on this. Ooh, we'll get to them. But basically, Batmaning is homoerotic, and Bruce Wayning is heteronormative, and Dr. Chase Meridian finds herself attracted to Bruce Wayne when the bad boy Batman type is her type. And so it's like all these things get interwoven and intertwined. So it's about, just two things. Like the duality of being a human is like the overarching thing, and then you can like put queer subtext along with it. The theme of Robin is death. And I feel like that is harder to inject queerness into. I feel like the main theme of the film is death, but there's also queerness happening around it so that it's a fun movie. So whereas I feel like the duality is the jumping off point for the queerness in Batman Forever, death isn't really a jumping off point for queerness. I mean, there are two characters that have a disease that seems incurable, so that kind of maybe dips into an AIDS thing, but it's not like the overarching theme of the whole film, whereas Batman Forever is constantly like, Batman, you're of two minds, you're of two worlds. Can Bruce Wayne and Batman ever truly coexist? Who knows? I think the answer is yes. Basically, everyone is yelling at Batman, be gay, be straight, and he goes, no, I'm bi, you motherfuckers, and he throws a bat at a blender. It's a weird movie. Anyway, back to Batman and Robin. All the biker guys are wearing heavy eyeshadow. Love it. Good look, fellas. The motorcycle race is to house beats. House is a very black and homosexual genre of music, and it's really good. If you don't listen to House, listen to House. I'm a fan of House. I love House. Love House all the time. But yeah, no, watching the motorcycle race, it was kind of like, oh, this typically would be more like of a butt rock sound, but because, Joel Schumacher's at the helm, he was like, oh no, we're gonna have some like like house beats. So I really appreciated that. Not something I caught watching the film previously. Poison Ivy asks what size Mr. Freeze's suit is, and Freeze says, always go a size smaller, makes me look slimmer. Okay, Mr. Fashion. I love that. Batman says her lips are poison, and Robin says you got some real issues with women, and I mean, it's right there. Again, queer subtext in Batman and Robin, just pointed it while it's on. Batman throws Robin into some gooey substance, which looks very cumular, but it is green. I think they were like... I feel like that was a studio exec going, Joel, rein it in a little, please. Make the goo green. Thank you. There's a frigid wife joke. Bruce and Alfred say they love each other, and then they have a little kiss. Like, that's just tender and sweet and wonderful. And again, probably something that you'll only get in a Batman movie directed by a gay man. Or a woman. It's time. Come on, let's have some women direct Batman movies. I think that's a Kelly Sue DeConnick quote. Because people are like, oh, a woman should direct Batgirl, which, oh my gosh, we haven't even gotten to Batgirl. And I think Kelly Sue DeConnick said, no, a woman should direct Batman. Like, it's not just we've achieved equality when women direct films about women characters. It's equality when women can direct films about any character. And hell fucking yes. Oh shit, Greta Gerwig's Batman. I hope it's coming to a theater near you. All right, it's my rambly brain. Let's just keep plugging away. I did notice we're really stretching here, but the password is PEG, and when you type it in, the computer practically moans, access allowed. I don't think that's an intentional pegging reference, but I'm not gonna eliminate it entirely. I wrote here, I know it's from the comics, but holy shit, their names are Bruce and Dick. Bruce... one Bruce famously played by Jim Carrey, Bruce Almighty. Bruce was stereotypically the gay name for a while. I did, as part of my research, because $50, I gotta put some passion in this thing. I did look up where it came from, and interestingly, some people seem to believe that it did in fact come from Batman, and other people saying the other way around, that maybe Batman is Bruce because it was the gay name. I find that a little less credible. But yeah, no, I think it was like around like the late 80s, early 90s that kind of died out as the gay name. But yeah, nevertheless, Bruce and Dick. Bruce is hanging out with some Dick. There are a couple of times where he calls him Dick in a very like, you're being a dick. I don't think there's anywhere he calls him a dick in literal, you're being a penis. Anyway, I'm also done with here. I love that when Uncle Alfred suits up Barbara, she gets a zoom in on her amazing high heels. So, they do the zoom ins on Batman and Robin's butts, dicks, and titties. And they do that as well. They zoom in on Batgirl's butt, dick, and titties. But there's one extra zoom for her fucking amazing stilettos. So yeah, like fetishizing high-heeled footwear. Count it. Queer culture, baby. Poison Ivy is so over the top. That's all I wrote. The girlies have a little whip fight. That was very sapphic. Okay. Freeze has another joke that's about coming. Tonight's forecast, a freeze is coming. Does he mean me, Mr. Freeze, is coming? Yeah, keep rolling those jizz jokes out. At one point, Bane squirts out all his Bane juice and straight up is making an orgasm sound. Yeah, that was weird. So Bane's a big muscly guy because he's got some weird thing coursing through his veins that makes him extra strong. And at one point, he gets like knocked over and it like spurts out of the tubes in his neck, and as it's spurting out, he's going, and that was somebody getting away with something. Just saying. Attempts are made to tie it around the theme of death, but it just doesn't come together like Batman Forever. And that's all the notes I have for Batman and Batman Forever being queer. Though I did put outside of the context, obviously, Joel Schumacher, very gay, has slept with a lot of dudes. Reports vary, but a little present to you. Give that a Google. How many men has Joel Schumacher slept with? And I have here, in 2006, George Clooney told Barbara Walters that he played Batman as gay. So, you know, if you want to be all death of the author, that doesn't matter. Sure. But Clooney, the man himself, said, I played Batman as gay in that movie. That was my goal as an actor. So that seems like a definitive open and shut case. But if you don't want to take the word of the people that made the movies, you can just watch the movie. It's gay AF, y'all. Oh, and then I have Batman Forever notes, which are hopefully shorter. Yes. Again, I do want to point out I'd had a lot of special chocolate when I watched this, so let's see if my notes make any sense. 5 minutes in, and I love the campy, pulpy, psychoanalytic dialogue. What a perfect blend. Yeah, I love movies that can both do camp and pathos, like really ruminating about the human condition. See Barbie. Like, to me, Barbie was that perfect blend of like campy, silly, but also is actually about incredibly deep themes. And I think Batman Forever is as well. I feel like Riddler and Two-Face would have worked better as a couple if Two-Face was more brooding and mysterious, but Tommy Lee Jones had to outdo Jim Carrey. Yeah, this is a behind-the-scenes thing, but apparently Tommy Lee Jones hated Jim Carrey, did not respect what he did, and differing reports are like he was trying to prove that Jim Carrey, you're not so special. Anyone can do your running around being loud and annoying thing. And I think history will record that no, Tommy Lee Jones is trying to be wacky, but he's not pulling it off. Anyway, I think they would have had more of a top and bottom dynamic if Two-Face was a little more brooding, which may have been the plan, but Tommy Lee Jones didn't want to play ball. Jim Carrey definitely has a crush on Bruce. I must have talked about some of this in the last episode, so let me just blast through these. Val Kilmer keeps awkwardly trying to get out of Nicole Kidman wanting to fuck him. Yeah, I wrote in my notes, I'm a huge fan of Girls Are Grody Batman. So again, literally every week I watch either an Adam West Batman with one roommate, an animated series with both roommates, or sometimes both. I'm always watching Batman. Again, even though I'm Team Superman and Wonder Woman. So I've been researching this topic all my life. And my favorite thing about Batman is like just how he's like so fucking awkward around women. And iterations where he's clearly being played as gay, or iterations where he's being played as straight, but he's still stunted. He's still psychologically damaged from the events of Crime Alley, which, if you don't know, is his mom lost her necklace. I just love Girls Are Grody Batman. Like, anytime anyone, Adam West included, is like getting romanced by a female villain and he's just like, I'm resisting your feminine wiles. Like, that's my favorite, like, gay or not, that's my favorite kind of Batman, is where he just doesn't get ladies. Nicole Kidman straight up says she's into how broken Batman is, which, if you want to interpret that as like, I think he's not into girls, but I can get him into girls. She likes the bad boys. I wrote here, Riddler has real Frankenfurter energy. Rocky Horror Picture Show, obviously. And yeah, I think that may have been an inspiration. Very dumb joke. Forgive me, I was high. Cirque du Soleil! They go to a circus, and it's incredibly gay. We're talking the buffest, shirtlessest dudes. That is in both Forever and Robin. Anytime they go to any gala event, it's the gayest thing you've ever seen. It straight looks like a brunch just got out. Like, everyone's outfits are ridiculous and fabulous. Robin has one earring in the left ear, which the wisdom of the time would say is the straight ear. Compensating for something? They flirt like hell when Robin needs gas. In Batman Forever, yeah, Robin keeps trying to leave and he's like, wait, I gotta gas up my motorcycle, and Bruce is like, why don't you do it inside? And it's very much some awkward flirting. Is this gonna happen? Will they, won't they? Two-Face is a switch. That doesn't need any more explanation. Riddler at one point compliments Two-Face by saying, very few people are both a summer and a winter. These movies are gay as hell. I said Robin is a bratty power bottom wannabe, and that dynamic kind of continues over to Batman and Robin. He seems to really want, like, you know, more oomph in the relationship. He wants to be the top. And then The last note I wrote, Riddler and Two-Face play Battleship, so poly confirmed because they play board games. So yeah, Riddler and Two-Face, not just queer, also poly because they're having a board game night. Folks, that's all I got. This episode is way too long. As always, keep on whistling. I hope that wasn't incredibly painful to watch. I'm sure the audio is terrible. I feel like you patrons get the worst one. I'm gonna scrub up the audio for the audio version because like that's just gonna be insufferable. But I hope you appreciated that, and I hope Disney doesn't come for me. The mouse cometh.